Spring ones. When the letter arrived, Elsie thought it was a mistake. It was addressed in perfect cursive to Miss Elsie Winters, a name she hadn't used since childhood. No return address, just a wax seal she didn't recognize. A circle of eyes. It was from Belhaven. She hadn't been there in 23 years. Her Aunt Meredith's handwriting still curled like vines. The house is yours now. Be quick. Do not sleep inside. Whatever you do, do not listen. They know your name. That was all. Elsie didn't want the house. She'd buried that place long ago, along with the things she'd seen there as a child, the things everyone said were dreams, night terrors, trauma-induced hallucinations. And maybe they had been. But when her mother died and Meredith took her in, Belhaven had never felt safe. It had felt occupied. And now it was hers. Elsie took the train out to the edge of Vermont, to a town too small to show up on most maps. Belhaven sat like a rotting tooth at the end of a winding gravel path, half swallowed by the forest. Its shutters hung like broken wings. Moss strangled the porch pillars. As she stepped inside, the air seemed to shift, heavier, stagnant, like it had been waiting. The wallpaper peeled like shedding skin. Dust danced in the beams of her flashlight. Her phone lost signal before she crossed the threshold. She didn't plan to stay the night, just to walk through a few pictures, hire someone to tear it down later. But as she stepped into the foyer, the floor groaned beneath her feet, and somewhere upstairs she heard movement. Elsie froze. It wasn't rats. It wasn't the house settling. It was a soft, deliberate thud. She called out, "Hello?" But silence answered her. Still she climbed. The banister left splinters in her hand. The upstairs hallway stretched longer than she remembered, and colder, like walking through breath. Most of the rooms were empty. A child's room still held a rotting crib, another room locked. But at the far end of the hallway was the one door she had always feared, Aunt Meredith's bedroom. Even as a child she had sensed something wrong about that room, the way Meredith would emerge in the morning pale, eyes ringed with darkness, the way she never opened the curtains, the whispers at night. Elsie put her hand on the doorknob, cold. It turned easily. Inside, dust-coated every surface. The curtains were drawn. The bed was still made, untouched since Meredith's death. Weeks ago, if the lawyer was right. But above the headboard, carved into the wall, was a phrase, "Listen, and they will speak." The sound began immediately, a whispering so soft she almost missed it, not from the walls, from inside her head. She turned, heart racing, and fled down the stairs. But the front door was no longer there. It was gone. Where the entryway had been, there was now just blank, cracked plaster. She stumbled back, panicked, turned, and saw that the hallway was different now, longer, angled wrong. Belhaven was shifting. Her phone was useless. No signal. The compass spun in circles. She tried windows, nailed shut, glass unbreakable. Doors led to brick walls. Every corridor brought her back to the foyer, but always from a different direction. The house was looping her,
trapping her. And the whispers grew louder. That first night she didn't sleep. Not because she didn't want to. She couldn't. Something wouldn't let her. The house watched. Shadows moved just outside her peripheral vision. Paintings bled darkness. And beneath it all, the whispers never stopped. They said her name, over and over. 1,000 voices in unison, always just beneath hearing, like insects inside her skull. Elsie, Elsie, Elsie. By morning, if it was morning, she found food in the kitchen. Fresh bread, a plate of eggs, hot coffee. She hadn't made it. She didn't touch it. Instead, she explored, mapped, tried to understand the house's geometry. Every room bled into the next. Some led to impossible places. A bedroom opening into a stairwell that spiraled upward for what felt like miles. A closet that led back to the front door, which was now behind her. She tried to break a window with a chair. The wood splintered. The glass didn't crack. The house was alive. On the third day, she found a journal. It was tucked behind a loose panel in the library. A worn leather book filled with drawings, symbols, and accounts. It had belonged to Meredith. The entries grew more erratic the further she read. They whisper when the lights go out. They tell me things I shouldn't know. About the dead. About Elsie. About what she will become. The house is a throat. A mouth. It eats. We are the meat. They feed on attention, on memory. I see their faces in the corners. Don't sleep. Don't let them in through dreams. Once you hear your name in your own voice,
It's over. Elsie dropped the journal. She was starting to understand. The house was a vessel. And the whispering ones, whatever they were, had been waiting. For someone with her blood. Her name. Her. On the 5th day, she found the other Elsie. It was a mirror in the attic. Cracked, webbed with silver rot. She barely recognized herself. Hollow eyes, skin pale, hair limp. But her reflection didn't mimic her movements. When she raised her hand, it waved. When she screamed, it smiled. The whispering rose to a crescendo.
À tous en voici screaming in unisson.
And from the mirror, the other Elsie whispered, "Let me in." She ran. Again. Down flights of stairs that looped back on themselves. Hallways that turned sideways. At one point, she opened a closet door and found herself standing outside in the snow, until she stepped forward and was back in the basement. Time had stopped meaning anything. There were moments she believed she had died. Others where she thought she never existed. The house eroded her sense of self, memory, identity. Once she found a Polaroid of herself as a child, holding hands with Meredith outside Belhaven. Only she didn't remember ever being happy here. On the 7th day, she gave up. She sat in Meredith's bedroom, beneath the carving in the wall, and whispered back,
What do you want?
The answer was immediate. You.
The mirror cracked.
She doesn't remember how she got out. One moment she was lying on the floor, and the next, waking in a hospital bed 2 towns over. A hiker had found her wandering the woods, barefoot and muttering in a language no one recognized. Her fingernails were blackened.
Her eyes bloodshot. Her heartbeat irregular.
They kept her for 3 weeks. Eventually, they released her. She doesn't talk much anymore. When asked what happened inside Belhaven, she simply says, "They listen. And now they know me." 6 months later, the house was bulldozed.
Fondation salted. Land sol de tout développé.
The whispering stopped. For a while. But sometimes, when Elsie passes a mirror, she sees something else. A flicker. A shape behind her. Watching. And once, she heard her name in a voice that wasn't hers. Whispered from inside the glass. The end.